Hi everyone, my name is Sandy Swamtwini and welcome to my channel. If you would like to know all things South African tax, then this is the channel for you. I simplify tax here for businesses and individuals. Now, today I want to talk about the 2021 tax season tips. There's been a lot of changes for this season. In fact, there are a lot of challenges for this season. One of them being the fact that Sars is closing branches from tomorrow, the 1st of July, which is the official date of the tax season. Meaning that you will not be able to go submit your income tax return at Sars. Please spread the word. You don't want people to go to the branch at all. The branches are closing from tomorrow, which is the 1st of July 2021. And SARS has said that they will continue to assess the situation, but then they're thinking that they will be able to open on the 16th of August. However, they will confirm that with the taxpayers as time goes by. Or if the situation with the pandemic improves, they might even open the branches earlier because it is tax season after all, right? Now, if you're sitting at home and thinking, what am I going to do now? Digital platforms are available for you. And I must say, one of the things that have been good where SARS is concerned about the pandemic is that they have improved their digital platforms, and they've also added more activities that taxpayers can do on the digital platforms that before they couldn't do. So there's a lot more that you can do on e-filing right now that you couldn't do before the pandemic. And also over and above, the digital platforms I'm referring to is e-filing, the SARS mobile app. And I would like to encourage people to download it because it makes things so simple and smooth. And after you download the app, you can actually activate in order to make sure that whenever there's a communication by SARS, you actually get a notification, which is good, other than waiting on e-filing or logging in on e-filing and actually checking everything. What I will say though about the digital platform is that every single year, I'm hoping that this year it will be different. Every single year, the start of the tax season is rather bumpy for SARS because most people are rushing to submit their tax returns on the 1st of July. So I'll find that e-filing is slow or sometimes it crashes. I haven't had any experience with the mobile app, but I've had people actually complain about it during the start of the season. But then if that happens, I don't think you should worry. You should just give it a few days and then it will start improving as more and more people do their returns and get off the platform. Then it will start getting better. Now, something else that SARS has added, which I think is a great idea, they've added an SMS platform whereby the number is, let me just get the number for you. The number you SMS SARS as, I'm also going to leave it on the description board, so do check it out. It's 47277. The nice thing about this number is that I haven't tried it, but that's what SARS is saying. They said that you don't need to have data or airtime in order to use this platform. So you can have zero data and airtime and you'll be able to use the platform, which I think is sort of like a toll-free SMS platform, I suppose. So they've added that this is now for your queries, for your whatever you want, you request to SARS. I'm sure you SMS and then you get a whole list of things you can do. And then you will choose the relevant option for you. But also what is available is a callback system with SARS. Now that one hasn't worked really well for me in the past, but it does work. I don't think that would be an option for you if whatever you're looking for is urgent. It's whereby you dial the SARS call center and then there's an option for them to call you back. I mean, well, if you don't have any airtime, then it's a great option. But if something is urgent, then not really. But then they do phone, but then it takes a long time. I wasn't impressed when I used the service. It takes a very long time for them to get back to you. And sometimes it's like you don't even know why you were phoning to begin with. But yeah, that option is also available. So these are the options that are available for you. But then if you need to submit an income tax return, you need to go to e-filing or use the mobile app. But for queries, you can call, you can, or you can also make an appointment or on the Sars website. Make an appointment on the Sars website if you need to speak to an agent, if you need help with anything, someone to literally help you with something like submitting an income tax return. There is that option. Now, there are also other paying options. First of all, I am a registered tax practitioner. I do help at a fee, of course, help in submitting income tax returns, or if you have queries with SARS, you're trying to get your refund, you want to write to the Ombud, you want to complain, I have a whole lot of services. I'm going to leave my of services that I offer where tax is concerned. I'm going to leave my email on the description box. If you would like help with anything, then you may email me, then I will send you my service list. Also, there are other platforms, like I will just mention one, which I'm mentioning this one because it's a very good platform. It's very reliable. I know a lot of people who have used it and it's affordable. It's called Tax Team. You actually go and submit the income tax return on their platform, and obviously that's also, it comes at a fee. I think it differs for the different types of income tax returns. Same with me, I charge differently. Obviously I wouldn't be able to charge the same for a person who just has an RIP5 and a person who has a whole lot of investment income. So Tax Team is the same as well. You can just go to Google Tax Team and then it will take you straight there. You can submit your income tax return with them. It's a very reliable website to submit your income tax return. There are others, but I'm not going to mention them here. Every year, SARS releases a tax threshold stating that if this is you, for instance, this year, I think it's 500,000 Rand, you've worked for one employer, you don't have any deductions. I will also attach that threshold at below on my description box for you to see. Now, that threshold is for people to decide whether or not they need to submit. If obviously you meet all those requirements, then you don't need to submit returns. However, I want to caution you, if you have started submitting income tax returns, I have noticed that in my experience, if you start submitting income tax returns and then you stop, say for instance, you start submitting for 5 years and then you lose your job, and then maybe for 1.5 years you don't have a job, that means that you might not need to submit, which means you qualify to not to submit according to SARS's threshold, and then you don't submit for those 2 years, and then you start submitting again. It has been my experience in the past that whenever you start submitting again, the previous returns, which were previously not required according to SARS standards, they start showing up as not submitted. So in other words, if you have a refund, for instance, after your latest submission, you will not get it because you have outstanding returns. Why I'm telling you this is because I want to tell you that if you have started submitting returns, even if at some point you find that you are below the threshold, in other words, you don't need to submit, then I would encourage you to submit. Even if it's a nil return, encourage you to submit. And I've already explained the reason for that, because you don't want a situation whereby there's gaps. And even though you will be able, most of the times, to clear that up with SARS, with evidence and whatnot, it's just a lot of admin. It takes a lot of time. So you want to avoid all that unnecessary stuff for yourself. And in order to do that, you just continue submitting, going to e-filing, submit your nil return if you didn't have any income. And I know with a lot of people right now, there's been a lot of retrenchments, and there's been some people, other people have taken early retirement because of the pandemic and all those things, which leads me to my other point. If you have retired and you are earning retirement income only, you still need to submit your income tax returns. You are still required, unless of course you are below the threshold. But like I said, even if you are below the threshold, I do advise people to continue submitting. But then again, it is up to you. This is just now my advice to you according to my experience as a tax practitioner in all these years that I've worked as a tax practitioner. Now, I will emphasize this. Retired people, you still need to submit your income tax returns every year. More so if you have other side hustles like your interest, your dividends there, and all those things. You still need to declare that income and submit your income tax returns to SARS. Now, I would like to talk about auto assessments. Now, this is now the second year that SARS is doing these auto assessments, and I think it's great. It saves people a lot of time, especially for people who have straightforward returns that just have an RIP5 and nothing else. Go in there, accept that auto assessment. However, if you have deductions such as medical aid, retirement funds, and all those things, do not accept the auto assessment. For instance, if you have medical aid and you have additional out-of-pocket expenses that you need to claim, chances are SARS is not going to know that, and those claims will not be included in your auto assessments. So rather reject the auto assessment, and then starting from tomorrow, the 1st of July, when the tax season opens, you go and edit your return and then you submit. You will not lose anything. Nothing is going to happen. It's very important to make sure that you don't accept that auto assessment unless you are absolutely sure that it is correct. Because there was a lot of mess last year when it comes to auto assessments. People were unhappy, and then yes, if you do accept the auto assessments, you do have an option for you to do a correction. But now the downside to a correction is that you will get a verification, and then you have to submit all those documents and all of that stuff, and the verification takes a while. If you have a refund, it might take forever for you to receive your refund. So I always just advise people to avoid all that admin of verifications and uploading documents. Just reject the auto assessment. If you get verified anyway, then that's fine, but then you don't want to be verified because you accepted an auto assessment and then did a correction. There is a whole lot of mess that goes with that. Very important. When it comes to refunds, please make use of the SARS complaint system. Now, I want to make this clear. There's the SARS complaint system, and then there's the Ombud. When it comes to refunds, you can approach the tax Ombud directly. If you have a complaint about a refund that SARS has not been paying to you, and the waiting period has passed and SARS has not paid you the refund, and they're not giving you a valid reason why you should not be getting your refund, then you need to go to the Ombud. One of the delay tactics, for instance, that SARS uses in order to delay refunds, one is they will do a random banking details verification. I mean, you've been using, say for instance, you've been using your banking details for 10 years, and then all of a sudden when you have a refund, SARS wants you to verify. That's a delay tactic, and the tax Ombud knows all about that. So approach them if you have a refund. However, if you have other queries or other complaints that are not about refunds, you cannot approach the Ombud directly. For instance, you have to exhaust all the complaints that the complaints system that SARS has. What I normally do, right now I'm giving you like stuff that people pay for in those accounting firms. What normally happens is, say for instance, you phone SARS, you ask about whatever query that you have. Maybe you want them to give you an assessment, because sometimes you find that you submit your return and then you don't get an assessment for the longest time. And some people use their assessments to apply for finance and for whatever reason that you need your assessment for. But say for instance, you're not getting your assessment and you've submitted your return. It's been 3 months now. Phone SARS, get those case numbers, and then if still nothing is happening, then use the SARS complaint system. SARS has its own complaint system. One of these days I'm going to do just an example of that complaint system. It's just that at the moment I just don't have a complaint for SARS. However, use the SARS complaint system. Use that to document your complaint. Obviously, make sure that you keep all those case numbers. I don't know if you've noticed. If you have, when you're phoning SARS, or if you are doing anything with SARS for that matter, whether you're applying for something or doing anything on e-filing, you get a case number. If you are querying something and you get a case number to SARS, please just write down that case number, the date. Because I'm extra, I normally even write down the person I spoke to, but I don't think you need to do that. But just write down the case number and the date and the response you got from that person, so that when you complain to SARS, then you are able to make sure that you have the details. This also helps if your complaint to SARS did not resolve your query. Then you can take it up now to the ombuds, and it also always helps the ombuds. It always helps the ombuds when you have a detailed case numbers as well as the complaints that you did to SARS. Also, it also helps them to see that you've tried all that you can with SARS, but you did not get any help. Okay, so very important. Another thing that you need to make sure that you look out for this tax season is your contact details. SARS is very strict about this. If you change addresses, if you change your cell phone number, your email, you need to make sure that you update at SARS. Update all those details at SARS. It's very important, because I don't know how many times in my experience it's happened that SARS doesn't call, doesn't email, doesn't use all the other platforms, and then they will randomly use an address. They'll send you something via the post, which is so weird. I don't know why they do it, but it happens a lot in my experience that SARS will not use all the other platforms that are quick and easy, and then they will use postal. Some people will be saying that SARS will be saying that we posted a letter to address number what, and the person will be like, I haven't stayed there in 10 years. But SARS will not know that unless you go to e-filing and update your contact details. It's very, very important. Also, on that note of contact details, if you don't get something and SARS demands something, you don't get that communication, and the reason is because you have not updated your contact details, you can't use that as an excuse when SARS decides to come after you. Unfortunately, it's not an excuse. It's your problem and you have to deal with it. Now, lastly, on the tax tips, guys, always make sure you keep these records. It's a requirement. It's an income tax requirement to make sure that you keep the documents for 5 years. In other words, the documents that you will be submitting now for 2021 tax season, you have to keep for the next 5 years, because after 3 years, SARS can come knocking and saying that, you know what, we would like to revisit your income tax return from 2021, and by that time it will be 2024, and you need to have those records for SARS. You are required to have kept those records for SARS for that long. Very, very important. So I always advise my clients to scan stuff, because slips and receipts, they fade, and there's nothing at the moment you can do about it. So just scan your stuff and make sure they scanned and saved somewhere where they cannot be deleted. Scan or email them to yourself or whatever the case, and just make sure you name them correctly, so that whenever in 5 years time you need them, they're there for you. So that's all for today, guys, for the tax tip for the 2021 season. I'm hoping that this helps, and also if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to send me an email. I will answer if I can, but I want to caution you, remember, guys, I will give you the general knowledge and all the tips that I can give you, but then you can't expect me to work on your personal income tax returns for free, because that's not fair to my clients that are paying. So if you're going to be sending me your passwords and saying, but okay, please look if I did it correctly, I can't do that. People pay me to do that for them. So I'm happy to share general knowledge and also some very good tax tips. But if you want me to work on your personal income tax return, or if you have something specific that you want me to help you with, then you will need to pay for that. Okay. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and share all of this. Let's get this channel to 1,000. Thank you.